Listen to me, gentlemen. The fortitude at which we express ourselves when it comes to life, our perception of life and everything around us, how we navigate through life, how we understand people, how we understand ourselves in life. It's all a sense of maturity as you get older. When you're 20 years old, you think you know everything. When you're 30 years old, you think you know everything. When you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, you believe that you know everything. You believe within yourself that you've acquired all the knowledge, all the experience in the world to say you are an expert at life. But let me tell you that sweet spot about life. It doesn't matter if you know everything, you want to know everything, you have everything. All that matters is you're mature enough to understand what you need to do, how you need to handle yourself, how you need to express yourself, how to articulate yourself, how to think for yourself, how to fend for yourself, how to understand yourself, how to put yourself in a position that you don't react to other people's actions. You understand, you act, you never react. That sweet spot is 30 years old. Now, I know a lot of 20-year-olds or people even younger, they're going to have something to say about this. They're going to go against this ideology. But let me tell you, I've been 20. I'm now 32. I haven't been 40, but I speak to a lot of people that are 40 and 50 years old as my mentors, as people around me that I want to absorb information from, get advice from, have tips about life, give their perception to me, and I just sit back and I absorb all the knowledge and information to then go out and put forth what I want to do with that information for myself. But I can tell you at 30, it's no better feeling. I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm mature as I've ever been. I make more money than I ever have. I understand money. I'm more disciplined than I've ever been. Women are in my life, not as in I have women, but women see me as prime. Women see me as a man more than they ever have. Maturity. Women of 20 years old, women of 30, women of 40. You're in the sweet spot when it comes to everything. You're in your prime as a man. You don't get any better. You get wiser. When you're 30, I think it's the best position to be in. Now, I would agree as you get to 40, 50, 60 years old, you do become wiser and you can have more. You can attain more and acquire more financially. Physically, I think once you hit about 40, 42, maybe 45, that's when you're going to start to decline. But that 30, 35 zone, that is the best zone to put yourself in a position to carry over that physical brute strength, your physical capabilities, your physical maturity into your 40s, into your mid 40s. And then whatever you have left over, you let it ride all the way into your 50s. When you're young, you know everything because you're arrogant. But life has a way of teaching us things. But it is important on how we perceive everything when it comes to what life is teaching us. When I was 20, losses wasn't lessons to me. Losses was something that made me feel guilty about myself. Losses made me feel less than. I felt incompetent. I didn't feel that I had the capabilities. But pay attention to the words I'm using. Losses, feelings. Once I understood in my 30s, late 20s, going into my 30s, that my feelings didn't matter. My perception, the way I did things, losses didn't matter. Losses became lessons. My perception on how I viewed things. Everything around me was an opportunity to learn. One of the greatest investors of all time, Warren Buffett, said the more you learn, the more you earn. Although he's an investor and he probably dedicated that quote to money, I would argue once you learn how to navigate life, life is transactional. I always talk about the stock market. If you learn how to navigate the stock market, you navigate life. As a trader, everything we do as traders, we carry over into everyday life. You analyze certain things. What's the pro and con? What's your risk management? What's your management to approach yourself, your emotions? Because at the end of the day, even though feelings don't matter, we have them. How are you going to manage that? All of these things I learned once I became 30 because I built what? The mental clarity and the mental maturity. I became mature. Rejection didn't matter. When I was younger, if I took a loss, if a woman turned me down, I took it personal. At 30, when I go through rejection, when I go through a loss, women are not turning me down, I'm married. But when I'm not getting what I want in life, carries over from women, now I respond with a perception of what can I learn from this? I didn't take any losses as something that was personal. I took it as something that I can learn from because losses were lessons. Everything about life was an experience, but it was experiences that I could come and put together as a collective to experiment on how I want to continue to live life. What you know now, you wish you knew it back then. What you are experiencing now, utilize to position yourself for the future. I always say the future is unknown. The future don't know you. You're unknown to the future. So you can position yourself to have the best possible outcome in the future. I didn't think like this when I was 20. Everything was in real time. It was almost like instant gratification. I didn't have delayed gratification at 20. I had it at 30. Now I understand how I need to move in life. It's not about how I feel. Now, Feelings is something that everybody have, and y'all always hear me bring this up because I want to express you're never going to be able to get rid of feelings. Feelings, they're unavoidable. You're going to have them. We're designed as humans to have feelings and emotion, but energy in motion is emotion. How you feel, you will express. How you express, you will give off that aura, that energy. They call it vibration, and people will be able to pick up on that. They will acknowledge your vibration. Sometimes it may leave a distaste in people's mouth, or they may not be fond of who you are as a person, but you yourself are the only person who can control how you express yourself. Don't ever think that you're not being who you are when you're trying to change how you express yourself. We oftentimes say, this is just who I am. People need to accept me. Well, if you've ever had a moment where you didn't want to accept somebody else for how they express themselves or their behavior, then don't be a hypocrite. People don't have to accept you. When you're 20 years old, you're always trying to force people to like you. When you get my age, you understand people are just not going to like you. This comes with losses, rejection. People are not going to like you. Life is going to hand you a hand and you have to play it. Some people have a far worse hand than we have, and they're playing it better than the hand that we're playing. Why? Because they're focused. They understand that problems is not necessarily the problem. It's how we deal with the problem. You are more of a problem in your life than problems in your life. You are more likely to have self-destruction than someone else put destruction upon you. You will attain what you want in life far greater than someone giving you what you want to attain in life. You have a far greater chance, but it's going to start with you becoming mature about life. Your perception. Everything is perception. Everybody's perception is their reality. Although everybody's perception of reality can be different, reality itself is intact. You can't change reality. It's like facts. Everybody's inclined to their own opinion. No one, absolutely no one is inclined to their own facts. The facts are the facts. You can only stack facts. You can only compound facts. You can't change facts. You can change your opinion all day, but that goes back to the emotional part. The less likely you are to be in control of your emotions, the more likely you'll change your opinions. But opinions are nothing. It's just emotion. It's feelings. Always say, as grown men, your feelings are why you're where you're at. If you're in a fucked up position, you want to know why? Because you allow your feelings to fuck you up every time. Now, I said I was going to stop cursing. I tell you guys all the time, we'll get there. I'm working on it. But I like to express myself just who I am, authenticity. I don't want you to look at me and you're getting Linval Williams. This is who I am. If you was having a conversation with me, this is how it will go. 20 years old, I will always try to change who I was. But like I said earlier, don't think you're not who you are by changing. I'm gonna change. Initially, I want to stop using profanity. Okay, I could get my message across without using profanity. But as I'm expressing myself to my loyal subscribers and to people who are watching my videos, I want you to know who I am, because I don't want you to think I'm just sitting here talking because I can. I understand what we go through. Like I said, I've been 20. If you're 20 years old and you listen to this video, understand what I'm trying to tell you. It's gonna take time. But in that time, don't allow your emotions to put you in a position where you make decisions based on your perception that may not be aligned with reality, which is what it is. You can't change it. And you suffer the consequences for years. 30 is the best years, my opinion. Don't miss out on 30 because you make a decision while you're 20 and you suffer for the next 20 to 30 years. This happens to a lot of people. All we do is make decisions based on our emotions. They call it crash out. And you're stuck dealing with the consequences for decades. You decimated your opportunity to be successful. 10 problems you put on yourself. Decimate. 10. For decades. You see how I put all that together? Because it is, people suffer for 10, 20, 30 years. But after 10 years, they realize you got another 10 to go because of a decision you made when you were younger. Understand this, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. If you can make mistakes early and allow yourself to accept these mistakes as learning curves, once you get to 30 and so forth, you will have built a habit of what? Allowing your losses to be your lessons, allowing life to teach you things that you need to correct within yourself. It's not about what anybody else wants. It's about what you can do for yourself. You hold the value. You hold the key to the value. You can enhance your value. You can grow in value or you can diminish in value. It's going to be all based on what? The decisions that you make in your life, and the results are going to let you know how your value measures out. I talked about this before. Morality is what people want to represent the world. But the truth is, economics is what represents the world. Everything is a numbers game. You have to play the numbers game within yourself. Everything compounds. Decisions, decisions, decisions. I always talk about accountability. Decisions. You make bad decisions and you keep making bad decisions. Those bad decisions compound, and then you have to deal with the results of all set bad decisions collectively. Experiment. This is the result you get from your experiment of your experiences, you making bad decisions, and they compound with interest and they come back and knock you the fuck out. Accountability. If somebody makes good decisions and they keep making good decisions and that interest grows, compound interest on good decisions, compound interest. You see how I'm using that? Correlated with investing, money, the stock market. You can take that approach, financial approach to everything in life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If you keep doing good decisions, you become a good person, you have good experiences, you put that together with your good experience, you get the results back from set good experiences. You have what? Whatever the answer is to that, it's the opposite of bad experiences. But you're going to be held accountable. When you're 20 years old, you may not see life like this. Everything about life, you're taking it personal. You can't. What can you really control? Yourself. You can't control nothing else. Absolutely nothing. You can build awareness. You can become knowledgeable. You can acquire information. You can grow your skills. You can attain accolades. You can attain accomplishments. You can get some status out here. At the end of the day, you can only control you and how you do everything in life. That girl you mad at in your 20s because you got rejected, you can't control her. You can't control how she thinks. If she walked away from you, let her. You're being redirected through that rejection to go somewhere better. You understand what I'm saying? It's all going to start with the mind. But that 30 spot is a sweet spot. You're supposed to work hard as you ever worked. So when you get to 40, you don't have to work as hard as you did when you're 30. Because we know, based on statistics, the majority of us, we possibly didn't work at all in our 20s. Or we didn't work as hard as we thought we were. But when you hit 30, you understand. I read somewhere or heard someone say a man has 2 lives. He starts living his second life once he knows he only have 2. So it's like that fantasy I talk about. You in a fantasy life, but reality is free. That fantasy gonna cost you. Reality is free, fantasies cost. Most of the time in our 20s, we live in that fantasy. We don't really know yet, but life has a way of showing us later on. Once you get to that reality perspective, now you're sitting there saying, damn, okay, this is actually what it is. And in that moment, you might feel a little bit of exhaustion because you may have wasted time, but you didn't waste time. You spent time experimenting. Now those experiences, you have to sit back and analyze, how can we change? If it's a problem, if that's your perception, what did I say earlier about problems? Problems is not necessarily the problem. It's our perception and how we handle the problem that becomes a bigger problem. We will ignite fuel to the fire if we don't look at it as let's fix the problem. But instead, why do we have problems? You'll just keep building problems. Compound interest, bad experiences, bad experiments, horrible results. You're going to be held accountable for what you do. It's not going to go nowhere else. You're not going to be able to hand your bad hand to somebody else. They're too busy playing their bad hand or their good hand, whatever hand they was fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to have. What did you receive? Pay attention to what's on your plate. What other people eat is not going to make you shit. You have to pay attention to what's on your plate. Focus on what's in front of you. But understand, once you hit that 30 mark, and so forth, you're in a sweet spot. If you are older than 30, understand this. You have the experience and the experiments to better your life as well. But you have to utilize what you did in your 20s and your 30s to combat what you're going to do in your 40s and 50s to carry out your life how you want to. But if you're in your 20s, pay attention. You're in the best spot. If you're in your 30s, you're in the greatest spot. But you better remember everything you did right and wrong in your 20s so you can clean that up so you can be more efficient as you travel down that road. That road is going to be lonely. It's going to be you. No matter if you have a group of supporters around you, can't nobody take those steps in life with you. Calculate your steps. Analyze where you're going. Analyze what you're doing. Make it intentional. Hold yourself accountable. Be responsible. And understand, if you're in that sweet spot at 30, everything is on you. This is going to be the hardest, greatest, best time of your life, the most difficult, but it's the most appreciated because right now you're investing who you are to set yourself up for later. Don't regret later what you could have been building right now. Build right now and appreciate it later. Buy low, sell high.